Welcome back to the Global Business Report on Rise News. Total value of electronic transactions recorded under the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System instant payment increased by 42% in 9 months owing to the steady rise in mobile telephony and internet penetration. According to the data, value of transactions processed through the Nigeria Instant Payments platform amounted to 272 trillion from January through September 2022 compared to 216 trillion in the same period 2021. And then they've got the other data disaggregated there. Now, speaking of which, data about payments, AppZone, one of the leading fintech software providers, has rebranded to Zone, a regulated blockchain payment infrastructure company. By building Africa's first layer 1 blockchain network, Zone will enable payments and the acceptance of digital currencies for financial service providers globally. Their regulated blockchain network enables direct transaction flow between financial service providers without an intermediary. Joining us to explain all this, if it goes over the heads of a few people, Obi Emetarom, who is the CEO of Zone. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, a pleasure.
Good morning to you. So, you used to look, software as a service is what you used to do as AppZone. It's a multi-billion-dollar service as part of cloud, but you pivoted to blockchain. Explain, why did you make the pivot?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, today payments are mostly 95% cash, right? And even when they are digital, they are restricted, either restricted to the confines of a geography or an institution, and they don't include the new digital asset. To solve those problems, there are issues around building network of financial institutions across the continent, there are regulatory approval issues, and there are issues of what needs to be done to enable adoption of digital currencies.
Yeah.
We believe that to tackle this daunting challenge requires focus.
Right.
It requires major focus. So what we've done is carve out the rest of our business to allow us really zero in on this issue. The other thing is we'll be the first what is called pure play payment infrastructure company. Meaning we just provide the infrastructure and the APIs. We don't have other technology solutions or other products by the side. So for us, specialization breeds excellence.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's a full pivot. Nothing left with software as a service. Full pivot to the infrastructure.
Yes. However, so that we can allow our software as a service business continue to grow and thrive, we've carved it out into a separate company called Core, which will be led by some of our co-founders.
I'm glad you're here to explain this, because the impression by some was that you had completely left software as a service and was going to just look at the blockchain side. Well, this is good. Thanks for clearing that up. Now, some people say this stuff is esoteric and goes over their heads. What is layer 1 blockchain exactly? And how is that aiding what you're doing?
Okay, very good. So layer 1 is about the framework on top of which other blockchain products are built, or other decentralized products or applications are built. And what that means is the hardware, the network, the ledger itself. The layer 1 providers manage and enable the hardware, the network, and the ledger where all of the digital assets and digital decentralized applications sit.
So a foundation.
The foundation, the rails.
Okay, perfect. Now, if that's the case, and again, first in Africa to do this, who are your clients? What's the use case? Who are you facilitating this for?
Exactly. So we don't deliver services directly to the end users, whether businesses or individuals. No. Our clients primarily are financial services providers and financial technology providers.
So like a B2B.
Banks, yes. So banks, fintechs, financial technology companies, and also crypto service providers as well.
So thinking of crypto, and are central bank CBDCs, central bank digital CBDCs, are they a pathway for adoption for what you're doing?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there are 4 main things that drive adoption of digital currencies. There is reduced cost, there's improved investment opportunity, there's speed, and then finally, there is flexibility. CBDCs already achieved 2 out of this, cost and speed. A lot has to be done to enable investment opportunities for CBDCs and improve flexibility. So part of what we're doing on Zone is providing those capabilities for CBDCs as well. But we know that in the same way you've seen massive adoption on the other types of digital currencies, crypto, CBDC is also a huge potential for that type of adoption.
Perfect. I want to go more traditional. What about the traditional banking system and financial ecosystem we have? Can that integrate with what you're doing?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah?
We're already doing that today.
Okay.
So today, our Zone nodes sit inside traditional financial institutions, banks originally, and we're also extending that to fintech, the big fintechs as well.
Okay, great. So there's this whole debate between the centralized system, traditional, and then the DeFi, the decentralized, right? So if there's a relationship here and they're able to integrate, does that do away with the traditional system down the line? And then explain the marriage.
We always get this question.
See,
but today, what is happening is that the infrastructure is decentralized, true. But even within the decentralized infrastructure you have today, you still have a combination of decentralized products and centralized products. A good example is the exchanges. So you have centralized exchanges like Binance and Coinbase and so on, and you have decentralized exchanges like Uniswap, SushiSwap, and so on. They both sit on top of a decentralized infrastructure. So our role is to enable coexistence of both forms. That's why we say our mission is to connect every monetary store of value by harnessing the power of blockchain technology, whether that monetary store of value is decentralized or centralized.
Great stuff. How does scaling of blockchain tech get past the infrastructure challenges and hurdles that are in emerging markets like Nigeria? Network issue, like when I go and pay with a POS or whatever.
Big issue.
Yeah.
The thing is, those network challenges face all types of payment, whether powered by blockchain or not. There are infrastructure issues that we see improving with time with 5G and 6G and so on. However, what blockchain does today is to minimize the impact of those issues. So, for example, reconciliation. When you have those transactions that fail and you get debited, in a traditional paradigm, it takes days or weeks to get a refund because the reconciliation is manual and cumbersome. On blockchain, that reconciliation is automatic. It's already done because the blockchain doesn't diverge, so customers can get refunds instantly. It solves the problem of chargebacks.
Are you still optimistic though that infrastructure, so as far as broadband penetration and all this last mile stuff, that's by rolling out 5G, there's the auctions are taking place. Are you optimistic that improves over time here in Nigeria?
Absolutely. Yeah. It has improved. I remember when we had 2G, if you remember, we had, dial-up. I still remember the days of dial-up and then 2G and 3G and 4G. Today, most areas you can get good streaming of media, videos, and so on. So it's only going to get better, and there's going to be more options as well. There's now things like Starlink, and satellite types of options. There's fiber now, and the microwaves and so on. So it's definitely going to get better.
Yeah, in fact, you mentioned Starlink. I think we reported yesterday that the UK government is talking to Elon Musk and Starlink to get it more in rural areas there. Yeah. As far as the digital currency side of what you're doing, whose payments are you facilitating there? So
today, there are two different options. So the primary immediate target is CBDCs. CBDCs are already regulated, they're already compliant. A lot of countries are experimenting with CBDCs. We've launched e-Naira here, but CBDCs need to be interoperable. They need to be such that you can pay or swap one CBDC for another. There are silos today, right? So there's a lot of value in that area. But beyond that, the stable coins on public chains are a huge opportunity. The challenge, though, is regulation, right? So we're also embedding mechanisms to regulate those types of assets that are issued on other chains, such that when they are transferred from those chains into our own chain, into Zone, they inherit the regulatory compliance that is already embedded into the network.
You mentioned, regulation, right? Cryptocurrencies, as you know, are not allowed in our financial system because of the volatility, safety, and all that other stuff. do you then focus elsewhere outside of Nigeria on the digital asset side? How are you working around that?
Yeah. So no, not necessarily. So we understand regulators, and they're correct, right? We see what's happening across the crypto industry. I don't want to call names, but
hey, we've called the name several times. We know what you're talking
all
about.
through. So consumers are actually the losers where you don't have proper regulation, right? So what we think is that rather than go elsewhere where there's no where it's accepted, and by the way, there are not many places, if any, like that.
Yeah.
Our approach is to work with the regulators. Today we are licensed as a payment switch in Nigeria, so we already have the engagement with the regulators, and we're extending that engagement to walk the regulators through our own suggestions of approaches to regulate this new digital form of asset. KYC, AML, exchange controls, capital adequacy, all those things, but built in to the framework in a way that compels digital assets to comply.
Fantastic. Okay, finally, just about a minute or two to go here. Everything we're talking about, how, and in fact, I want to know if you care about this, because you are working with institutions which understand this stuff. But for the average Nigerian on the street, getting them to understand how all this works, is that necessary? Are you even bothered about that, since you are more focused on financial institutions when working with them?
Yeah, so for us, it's not our core focus. We think it's very important.
Yeah.
It's not our core focus because we also don't want to conflict with our clients,
right.
or try to target the customers of our own customers. However, we think education is very important. We also believe that when you deliver reliable, frictionless and interoperable payment solutions, and if you provide a new digital currency asset with the full complement of its benefits, like I said, lower cost, faster speed, more investment opportunities, and better flexibility, the end users you would see massive adoption from end users, because it's value.
Yeah.
It's actually value. And we're already seeing that with adoption of some of the traditional crypto assets. Yeah, so we're going to see that ramp, but we need to solve the regulation issue, so that we open up the channels through which to distribute. We need to ensure plug-in interoperability, localize, plug into the payment systems in ways that allow it become really seamless, as seamless as the experience today with traditional finance. Like, we need to make the digital currency interactions as familiar and seamless as it is today with the experience on traditional finance.
Does that mean, because you remember we had started this interview only a couple minutes ago, you mentioned that little payments are still cash based. Does that have to go down? Does that have to change for this to push forward?
It's actually the other way around. So once you do this, you naturally see
less
a decline. Yes, because it's more convenient. It's just better. But it needs to be reliable, and there needs to be trust in the system. People shouldn't be scared that they will lose their money or that the thing will fail, and all of that. And then you see adoption.
So finally, just 30 seconds. 2023 and beyond, you're optimistic that this is going to scale, grow, and so on, as far as the ecosystem is concerned for payments?
Absolutely, completely bullish. Yeah. I know there's a lot of headwinds facing crypto and blockchain now, but it's like the internet in 1999.
Right, when it first came.
There was a bust, because there were a lot of products that were not really delivering value as they should. But what happened afterwards? The ecosystem flourished.
Yeah.
So we're in the same phase now with blockchain and digital currency and crypto and so on.
Yeah.
We believe in delivering fundamental substance in terms of value.
Yeah.
Then we can wade out all of that fluff and all that and usher in this new world of decentralized payment and finance.
Fascinating stuff. Obi Emetarom, CEO of Zone, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Pleasure.